You're live.
Hey everybody, welcome to week 78 of the Free Assange Vigil. I am the only one not currently in DC. I will be there as soon as we leave, or as soon as we wrap, I'll be leaving. So I should get there around 10 o'clock tonight. But this is kind of the live from DC episode, show, event, whatever you want to call it. It's a gathering of hoodlums. Before we get into the show, I'll go through the numbers real quick. So we have 3,675 days of illegal and arbitrary detention for Julian Assange, 630 days since the WikiLeaks founder was trafficked from the Ecuadorian embassy after being sold to the UK for a $4.2 billion loan to Ecuador. 2 days until Vanessa Breitzer's decision is due to be given on January 4th. So this is it. It's go time. 1,299 days of federal incarceration for Reality Winner. Our little, well, I guess we have two kind of little like bright shining lights. 286 days of freedom for Chelsea Manning. Don't forget she's on Twitch Thursday through Sunday. It's 7 from 11 Eastern, I think, PM. So hop on over to Twitch, show her some love. And they just did a birthday fundraiser for her recently. And I'm not sure if that's still going, but you can check that out too if you want. And then we also have 46 days in the halfway house for Jeremy Hammond. And, you know, halfway house isn't ideal, but it's not prison. So we'll take it. But other than that, everybody else is in a room in DC. So
not everyone. We've got a couple more people on the way. Mean Panda's not here yet. Kendra's not here yet. Paul
I meant everyone else on the show today, Steve.
Yeah. No, Kendra's at an action in Denver, right? She's doing it. She's got an action today, and then she's getting on a plane to come do the ones here, and like is super pissed because she has to miss another action today. It's fucking, that's ridiculous levels of dedication. At any rate, man, I at this point should really thank everyone who donated to the GoFundMe to help make this possible, because we're coming to you live from our headquarters in Washington, D.C., the nation's capital. If you look to my right, your left, you will notice that there's an incredibly nice young woman named Christine.
Hey.
And to my immediate left, that's Fiorella Isabel from Convo Couch.
What's up, fams?
And then there's Pasta.
Look who's behind us, though.
Hey, that's Franco.
Hey,
that's Andrew
Franco
Smith.
Here.
It is Franco's birthday, so happy birthday, Franco.
Yay.
Should we sing happy birthday? Really embarrass him? Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Franco. Happy birthday to you.
Woo! Yay, Franco.
We ran into Franco. We were down at the Force the Vote protest organized by Jackson Hinkle. Franco had a hilarious interview with one Nicholas Q. Brana.
This Q is really
I don't know, man.
Nicholas Quintus
Live here.
Quincy
Brown.
It's probably like Prescott or something, you know it is. At any rate, the Force the Vote protests are going on tomorrow and Monday from 9 to 11. And immediately after that, Action for Assange will be at the British Embassy tomorrow at noon. We'll be in front of the DOJ Monday at noon. If you're anywhere near the Washington, D.C. area, get
there.
Your asses down here.
You don't want to miss this. There's so much going on right now.
Yeah.
And on the 6th.
And on the 6th, there's a massive Stop the Steal rally. So we're hoping to connect with everyone from all of these different camps. Everybody's in town because their government has failed them.
Yeah, exactly.
Everyone.
Across the board.
Yeah, it doesn't matter which team you're playing for. If you're like us and looking at it from an outsider perspective and trying to talk more about systems rather than the cogs within them, we're all here. We're all here right now, and it's I couldn't be happier to be at this fucking wild ass moment in time. With you guys. It's been fantastic.
Hey, Steve, check to make sure the right mic's selected. I can barely hear you.
Really?
Nope,
Okay.
that's better.
That's better. Okay, just have it closer to your face.
Yes, Sleepy Josh.
Sorry.
You guys hear that? Because I'm gonna have to pass this too.
Yeah, that sucks.
And yeah. So I guess treat it like you're on stage.
Got it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Did you hear the happy birthday? Or should we do it again?
No, that was pretty good. It was.
Nobody needs to hear that
Alright,
again.
got it. We can do it in Italian next time.
I'm gonna wander off camera for a moment. If you,
I love that Steve just walks off like, here's the microphone.
This
Take
is
over.
like campfire style the entire time we're here. I want you to know that.
I was gonna hand it to Andrew, but he's also gone too as well. Hey, Andrew, here he is. Hold on, let's go to Andrew and say what you got to say, my man. Action for Assange.
Hey, aren't Fiorella and Franco, don't you guys have like speeches or something? Are you guys did you guys already do that? Or is that tomorrow? Or what's going on with that? Like, what's the scheduling for that, for Force the Vote?
Franco,
Oh yeah, talk about that for a minute because that's when the cops tried to run everybody off.
Yeah, I don't know what happened after, but when I in the middle of my speech, the cop was like, "Excuse me, can you guys hear me?"
Yeah.
Yeah, the cops are like, "Excuse me, what are you doing?" And I'm like, if you have questions, talk to
He's all
the
that
gentleman
guy.
down there." Yeah.
You talk to him, still holding the mic, and then
That's
doesn't miss
funny.
the beat. Goes right back into his speech.
That's awesome.
So yeah, so we had to walk back to the Spirit of Justice Park, and we just continued giving speeches there. We had Nick Branya gave a speech, and then Lee Camp, Brianna Joy Gray, and Savage Joy, and Jackson Hinkle. Man, he did a great job organizing this, and hopefully more people show up tomorrow. I mean, we put the word out today. And we have the Convo Couch here now. Nico House is going to be there. So let's integrate more people to come to this protest and also to come to the Assange protest. But as far as what we saw today, I'm really proud of who showed up. But yeah, who wants to speak next?
Whoever.
I don't. I just want to point out that this is like epic right now because, you know, we're all getting screwed by the system, right? We're all getting screwed. And this is like the most unity you're going to see among all these factions of people that have been not necessarily united. And now you're seeing all of like the boutique neo progressives, you know, the rad libs, so angry that they're not a part of it, and they're still going on 5 weeks later about Jimmy Dore this and that. It's irrelevant.
Now. He's violent.
Well, what?
He's violent now because he says fuck.
Just because he cursed.
Exactly. So cursing is violence. Holding your electeds accountable is violence. What happened to push them left? What happened to putting their feet to the fire? I mean, this is fucking ridiculous over and over and over again. And it's time to put these people on the spot. It's time to actually, you know, I love the collaboration that's going on between the Force of Vote and Assange, because these are two important issues to a lot of us that are on the left, but we're also the anti-establishment, you know, anti-security state left. And it's really showing who's the anti-imperialists that are here fighting. And if you don't want to label yourself, that's fine too. We're all getting screwed in this whole by this whole system. And being in DC and seeing what people are feeling with Nancy Pelosi and you know the graffiti and all these things that are happening, and now Mitch McConnell, I think these politicians and many of these pundits that are stuck in their little worlds are underestimating how pissed off people are, common people who don't follow politics, and that's dismissing the masses, and that's a very, very dangerous mistake to actually make.
Tweets are violence, but being paid to participate in the attempted balkanization of Libya, not violence.
No.
That's
Well,
something
and
you should
like
be proud of.
supporting
Yeah.
a coup in Venezuela, like she didn't support a coup in Venezuela, but she totally like passed the buck, didn't want to take a. I mean, that's violence. AOC, that's violence. People not having health care, tens of thousands of people dying every year from not having health care. That's violence. Jimmy Dore saying fuck AOC is not violence, sis. I'm sorry, like that's just not. You're being ridiculous.
Well, what she's doing is she's playing from like the Neera Tanden, Hillary Clinton,
That's
Robbie Moore
exactly
fucking
what
playbook.
they're doing.
And
to like Hillbots. That's exactly what happened.
But I mean, this is what the professional class of progressive media has. That's who they've been the entire time.
Yeah.
And the reason that I call the Rose Twitter fucks neoliberals with training wheels is because they're headed that fucking direction.
Mm-hmm.
They are, like, everyone who's taking their cue from the
DSA handbook.
Yeah, what do you call DSA? Young Authoritarians in Training or something?
Well, no, Matt Stoller. It was Matt Stoller. He called them frightened authoritarian children.
Did you guys see the tweet the other day about Jimmy Dore's conduct and how he would this is against DSA's code of conduct? Like, this guy is handing out demerits about cuss words from the DSA, and I'm like, what are you talking about? This isn't helping anything. It's unbelievably absurd.
You are going to have so many blackboards to wash, Jimmy Dore.
Right? I mean,
cleaning erasers for the next 6 months, bucko.
And
I got you every
Peter.
weekend for the rest of your natural born life, Jimmy Dore. Fucking
The guy's name
Breakfast
was
Club
Peter
style.
too, and I totally imagine this guy with his little pocket protector and his glasses, hey, here's your demerit. What are you talking about, you nerd? Jesus, people are dying, and you guys are pissed off because Jimmy Dore said mean words in a slightly elevated volume.
And this is after the DSA spent the last 4 years trying to force the vote.
Exactly.
So now that it's become a legitimate issue, they're taking a step back because the woman in 2003, as a committee for select intelligence member in the House that was read in on torture, doesn't want to give people health care.
Well, that's the problem. Is these idiots are all talk. They're all talk. They're fine with putting on the show of doing the work when they know it won't go anywhere. But the second it gets traction, and the second there could be actual motion on one of these things, they're like, "Oh, it's not the right time. Nope, can't do it now." That's not a good. I mean, it's like they're just protecting their grift. If we continue to have this thing that we can push for when it's not possible, then we've got a spot here. So let's, we'll fight for it when we know it won't happen. But if there's ever a moment where, we could actually get somewhere, then it's time to pull back. It's not the right time. That's a bad strategy or whatever the bullshit excuses they're coming up with. I mean, there's a lot of excuses out there right now.
It seems with Medicare for All, they keep kicking the can down the road. But the whole interesting thing about this weekend, too, is, you Assange people, that's it. This is the sentence coming up over here. Also on the 6th, too, as well, when it comes to the stop to the steal, that's it. The Electoral College is going to vote and stuff. So it's we're here on a weekend. We're all meeting each other for the first time in person. I think it's amazing. I was so excited. But I mean, it's game over time, and I'm just so interested and curious to what's going to happen after this weekend, after the sentencing and after the voting, and it might be madness out here. So I'm just more curious than anything. I'm hopeful that some positive things will come out of it. I mean, on your guys' ends, when it comes to Julian Assange, you know what I'm saying? I mean, what happens if in fact he does get sentenced and he's sent over here? What's your next course of action? What you guys are going to do? I mean, I mean, for me personally, I'm writing up a list of, this is the fundamentals. This is the framework of elections. This is what I'm going to come and educate these people who are, now Trumpers, part of the game, who are just getting into election integrity, to say this is the things we need to change. The game's going to still go on. Even if Donald Trump finds a way to switch this around and maintains the presidency, we still have a lot of work to do moving forward. But what are you guys doing moving forward if it's bad news for Assange? I mean, what would be the next step?
There are several.
Yes.
Organized.
Yeah, I mean,
just keep doing what we're doing at this point.
In the first one, no matter what happens, there's going to be an appeal, right? No matter what, and so even if he's, even if for some miraculous reason Barrett's rules in Julian Assange's favor, the U.S. would appeal. We've been told by a number of I don't know, half-informed pundits and people outside of the WikiLeaks sphere, but who have sort of attached themselves to it, that the appeals process could take years and years and years. But Stella Morris, about a month ago, said they are looking to fast track this. Look for, if everything breaks poorly, look for Julian to be actually being transported in as early as April or May. So and this kind of correlates with the period of acceleration that we're in on every other sphere as well. The rollout of smart cities, the restructuring of society, because there's a global pandemic that we need to reorganize society for. There's the Great Reset. There's an mRNA vaccine that that can throw up false HIV positives that may render women sterile. That if we don't take, we're literally Hitler killing grandma. We're in a period of accelerationism, and so this tracks. So what we have to do is accelerate in our own right. And Julian Assange said, closing out the forward to cypherpunks, that our task is to secure self-determination where we can, to hold back the coming dystopia where we cannot, and if all else fails, to accelerate its self-destruction. Well, we're undeniably in a period of acceleration. So what that looks like, I don't know. I mean, that depends on how all those other things break, right? Yeah. If the stop the steal thing goes sideways, the acceleration of self-destruction will be incredibly messy. If the force of the vote thing miraculously breaks for, okay, there's going to be a vote on Medicare for all. What does that do to the progressive movement? Does it put them to sleep for another 8 months while they sit there and bicker over who they're going to primary because they got a floor vote on Medicare for all? And now we know who the bad guys are. Now we know, and we can put up primary challenges for them. We can throw energy and resources and time and money and everything we have into maybe getting 1 or 2 people elected to the House who are really going to force a floor vote on Medicare for all. And we're going to be right back here next year doing this exact same fucking thing for a floor vote, not for any actual legislation.
Yeah, I know.
So let me ask you: Are you then suggesting accelerationism is right now what we have to look forward to, or what's inevitable, so to speak? Because it just seems like the more we try to fix or reform the system, or try to work within it through electoralism, I frankly believe electoralism is not going to be what we can't vote our way out of this, right? Like we can't do that. But then people say, "Oh, you're an accelerationist."
No, we're not.
Down.
No, we're not. I'm so tired of people saying that, because I get that a lot too. Oh my God, you're such an accelerationist. No, I'm fucking not. I'm responding to what's happening to us. Like, this is not something I'm doing by choice. This is something that's necessary. Like, we have to, they're coming at us hard and fast. I mean, people are not paying attention, but your civil liberties are disappearing daily. Like, this has been ramped up to another level. We no longer have an option to dilly-dally around the edges of reforming some corrupt ass system. Reform was never an option anyway. But we're now at a point where there's no turning back. Like, there really is no turning back. Like, this is going to get ugly. It's going to get messy, and they're accelerating. I'm just responding to what's happening to us.
Yeah, I mean, we reached a point now as the United States where 20% of all money in creation was created in 2020. So they're accelerating their own collapse, because there's never been a financial institution in the world that can inflate their currency 20% in under 12 months and then survive the next 12.
And so if you don't ramp up your response to that, and if you don't protect
Heart and Dominion and stuff like that, they have all the data as far as the mathematical analysis and stuff, but they don't have that smoking gun that they had in 2016, where the Democrats were right out there, marching and, in cahoots with each other to make sure that Bernie didn't get elected. So,
sorry, I'm trying to do 3 things at once here.
Always. But yeah, I mean, I think that there's, it's kind of funny that the fact that Donald Trump even went after Julian Assange the way that he did, it makes me feel like I've always kind of gotten this impression that he's kind of being used to do the dirty work because he's like the big bully that nobody likes. And I think he's very impressionable and easy to manipulate and control. And so, I think that they've kind of used him to get like a lot of really ugly stuff done. They do this with all Republican presidents. Republican presidents come through and they like bully their way into, getting a lot of terrible things done. And then Democrats come in and they're nice and it's two sides of the same coin. But it's interesting to see Trump handle the WikiLeaks thing after, going through the campaign, praising WikiLeaks and all of this stuff. And now it's funny because we're all begging him for a pardon when he's the guy that prosecuted him to begin with, and it's because we know that Joe Biden is a lost cause. There's absolutely no chance Joe Biden will help Julian Assange.
I look at it as more of a demand rather than a beg.
Yeah. Yes.
And the problem is he's listening to Rich Grinnell.
Yes.
But to kind of piggyback on what you were saying, we had Ryan Christian, the Last American Vagabond, on Slow News Day for our end of the year show. And big shout out to my co-host Glory Jones. Hi, Glory.
Hi, Glory.
We love you. But we talked about that a little bit. We got to flesh that out a bit as to what role Trump ultimately played, and I agree, and I wish we would have been able to go into it a little bit more. I agree with Ryan in that the reason that Trump was put into office was because they needed this period of accelerationism to happen, and there would have been such a genuine, legitimate resistance to that had Hillary Clinton been the one in the White House to roll out, everything that's gone down with COVID, everything that we've done in terms of printing over $20 trillion since August of last year. Just money that sort of came out of fucking nowhere because they had to pump it into Federal Reserve banks because it had been a solid 10 years since an economic crash, and we've had an artificially inflated economy for well over a year now, while billionaires have received record profits during lockdown when small businesses have been decimated and people are out of work and people are worried about becoming homeless. And, 19 million people up for evictions got postponed until yesterday, something like that, maybe into this month, so that would have been resisted by the people on the right who have been deactivated by a magic man on a message board. And they've been deactivated by the fact that Donald Trump is going to fight for them for election integrity. And that whole portion of society went to sleep in the way that Obama put the left to sleep. Yep. And it's not like any of this isn't predictable or new, but I think that now that people are really, the last 4 years, because it's been a period of accelerationism, it's woken up a lot of people. So now there's more eyes on it than ever before. So you have to engage in brutal censorship and blatant censorship in order to try to keep control of that narrative. So this is why platforms like Rockfin are so important. Because when YouTube yanks my channel or Action for Assange because of the conversation we're having today, or if they catch the one we had 2 weeks ago with Bill Benny, we're gone from YouTube, but we're not gone from the interwebs. We're still on Rockfin.
Yeah, and they can do that too because there's this been this kind of slow walk into the destruction of the First Amendment, and they've been slow rolling this for a long time. I always say, like, really, probably, for a long time, but the past 10 or 15 years, it's really kind of been a thing. But over the past, I don't know, 4, maybe 5, 6-ish, it's really gotten, pretty crazy. You saw President Barack Obama, a Democrat, go after more journalists and whistleblowers than all other presidents combined. This is like a massive ramp up of the attack on free speech and being able to, have these conversations on online forums, and people are getting their channels pulled down and their funding pulled and all of this stuff, and that's been accelerated over the past 4 or 5 years in a big way. And that's really what we're up against. That's what makes the Assange case so important, because if he is extradited and he is prosecuted in the United States and sent to ADX, that really gives them a whole other level of control over what we're allowed to read, what we're allowed to hear, what we're allowed to know. And that's why I keep trying to impress upon people. This is a turning point. It's like a real deal, pivotal moment in human history. And it's really unfortunate that more people aren't paying attention.
And I do got to say, the difference between the Obama years and the Trump years is because of that accelerationism. So a lot of the people on the right began questioning their own political party more than the Democrats or even the progressives. We've seen this in manifested right now with the stimulus and manifested right now with force the vote. The Democratic Party and the progressives can't even demand anything better. Yet we saw what the Tea Party did. We see how the right is having this right-wing populist movement that is very anti-establishment, that can sort of have these connections with people that want free speech, with people that want election integrity. The people want that, but we can't forget that the mechanisms behind the facade of the president are still there. It's still, we're not electing a president to actually serve the people. We know who these the intelligence communities that are behind the presidency, like the deep state. And people questioning this through the right has actually made so many of these progressives who were once, very much, oh yeah, we're going to buck the system, revolution, general strike, kind of subdue, because they automatically see it. Oh, that's QAnon. Because QAnon mentions something, then all of a sudden you can dismiss it. So it's like a psyop in the sense of, once you mention QAnon, it's dismissed. That happened with election integrity. It happens with the words deep state. Glenn Greenwald did an awesome article talking about how the deep state is very real, but I hear so many supposed leftists mocking it, mocking the idea that Julian Assange is that important by using misguided character attacks, mocking this whole idea that people for free speech are demanding a right-wing talking point when we have to protect, certain things that can't be said. And that argument too, we're seeing that civility being thrown out from by supposed progressives, these progressives that were supposed to challenge the system. So in a way, it's kind of the Trumpism, the boogeyman. Many people thought it'd be gone with Donald Trump, but it seems like it's actually growing stronger. Oh, now we're going to blame Trump for the mess Biden inherited. Oh, now we're going to blame Trump for the next, 10 years. And it's something that we have to fight. I think we have to move beyond these party lines. And I think that's something very brave to say from the left, because we are constantly called a right-wing grifter. I know, Misty, you experienced it. And it's it's tiresome, but at the same time, it's we're realizing that we're moving towards a post-partisan society, and a lot of people aren't comfortable with that because they feel like it will dismiss other people's voices. And that's not necessarily the case. It's just they talk about building bridges with the Democratic establishment, but they never talk about building bridges with everybody that isn't labeled as a Democrat.
Yeah. And I think that's been one of the most effective tools that they've used against us, because they have been able to make us hate each other so much that we won't, if somebody over there says something that ordinarily we might agree with, we now have to be against it because we don't like that person. And it's ridiculous. And, I say this all the time, people you don't like are going to do and say things that are good, and that's okay. It doesn't mean that you agree with everything that they say or that you support everything that they do. It just means that this one time they said something correct. And it's weird to me that grown-ass adults have a difficult time embracing that concept of, I don't have to agree with somebody all the time, but if we agree on a certain issue, then that should be something that we can work together on. That's a really weird thing that we don't agree on abortion, let's say, so I guess we can't fight for free speech together. That's ridiculous. If you are fighting for free speech and I'm fighting for free speech, let's join forces because we're stronger together. And that's exactly what they're trying to keep us from doing. They want us all fighting amongst ourselves so deeply that we won't ever come together on any issue ever. because that's just against, we can't do that. That's beyond the pale. Can't align ourselves with, MAGA. We can't, it's, they put us in these camps and keep us isolated and separated from each other, and nobody comes together on anything. And they just keep, stealing from us, killing us, no big deal. Business as usual.
My hope is that with the Joe Biden administration, we know that there's all these sketchy people on the administration that has ties to big tech, ties to intelligence. The forces are on censorship and all that is going to be so strong that maybe the silver lining here is that it's going to unite people more. It's going to wake more people up, where everybody here is going to be on the right side of history. Everybody who's not talking about this, they're going to look foolish. Like they're on the wrong side of history. People are going to be looking at them like, how are these people so shameless? Like these people who aren't fighting for force to vote, these people who are tone policing us, they're going to look so foolish. Meanwhile, there's people like us who are actually trying to wake people up. We're talking about civil liberties. What's going to happen to Assange is going to affect everything globally. Like, because Assange is he's not a US citizen. Without free press, we can't talk about these things. And like I said, the administration with Biden, like Biden's administration, there's going to be so much more censorship. And with that, with these channels going down, these independent channels, I think that's going to lead to more people waking up. I don't know what you guys think. Do you think there's any hope in waking more people up after seeing like channels getting taken down as a result of mass censorship?
I think there's always hope. I just don't know.
No.
Yeah.
None.
Yeah.
Zero. Zilch.
No,
Zip.
I think that's
No,
not
I
true
mean-
though, Pasta. We've seen people waking up over it. Like even this week, I've had people talk to me about, yeah, I'm taking this more seriously now. So, I mean, it's happening.
I hope
just don't know
so,
if
but
it's
I mean,
enough.
people are very tribal, right?
Yes.
And tribes have leaders. And really, to tell you the truth, I'm really so disappointed in Bernie Sanders every single step of the way. The other day, he was talking on the Senate floor about this whole McConnell bill, and he addressed Section 230 as a poison pill, election fraud integrity as a poison pill. I mean, seriously, right now, we're talking about our civil liberties here, freedom of speech, and he was once there, the fake news, the establishment, and people are going along with that. All those progressives that we love and we work with and stuff like that, we're not hanging out with them. We're hanging out with you guys because you guys are about, freedom of the press, Julian Assange, civil liberties. They're okay with Alex Jones being taken down because he's bad. But once you open up that door, the shit gates, here it comes. Now it's flooding through. I am having less and less hope every day because I see the leaders on the floor who are supposedly the progressive leaders just abandon freedom of speech, freedom of press, Section 230. Once again, the censorship is going crazy. I think Ben Swan is starting his own platform right now because his biggest concern is that they're trying to silence us every single step of the way. So, I mean, I am losing hope rather than gaining hope. And even Bernie on the floor, too, talking about election integrity. Yeah, I am concerned with, suppression, and we all are. But that's not the big issue. The big issue has always been proprietary software in our public funding elections. And nobody's talking about it on the left anymore. All our old friends, they're done with it. They don't even want to hear about it, talk about it, nothing. Right, Andrew?
Absolutely. Because ultimately the problem becomes Bernie Sanders was someone who WikiLeaks showed was cheated after he spent 2 years running on, hey, I'm being cheated. Hey, I'm being cheated. Like this little fucking bird said, I'm being cheated. And then when it actually came out, it did. I heard it. But when it came out that he was actually being cheated and he had a moment to say, look, they laundered $1 billion through the states and local Democratic parties. They've been conniving since the very beginning to keep me off of ballots, to force people out of my camp. They were shutting down caucuses. They closed down polling places. They went as far as to remove fucking Nomiki Konst, I believe, from the voter rolls in New York.
Yeah, there was like
now you think about it.
There was a shit ton of people in Brooklyn who were taken off the voting rolls. Like that's where he's from. Like that's not an accident, you guys. Like, and they admitted to that in court. Like the lady got punished and all of that shit. Like they admitted to it. This isn't like a conspiracy theory. He got cheated, and there is ample evidence for that. And he didn't do jack shit about it. Not a thing.
They found the Board of Elections guilty in a fucking court. I'm yelling, so I'm trying to make sure
Don't be
there's a little
violent.
bit of a distance there, because if I really
If you
yell
do what
right into
Pasta
the
does.
microphone, and it's just so I'm
Well,
you haven't spent a lot of time on stage, have you? Yeah.
Too much time on stage, actually.
Well, I'm not talking about working the pole there, buddy.
Oh, my bad.
Oh.
You got any singles?
You know what? You know what's hilarious is that I fucking I will throw dollar bills and $5 bills into a box, at least shoebox kind of thing. After a while, you know, rubber band them in denominations like 20s. I went to a really good friend of mine. Went to his house to procure some psilocybin.
I was wondering where this story was going right there.
It always ends up with
I
psilocybin.
paid him in ones and fives.
Gotcha.
Yeah, it was hilarious. He's like,
I mean, dude, I used to be a server. I paid for everything in ones and fives.
but it was right around Christmas time too, and so like he was able to, you know, there were a couple of kids he was going to give a total like $100 in cash to just for Christmas, and so he was able to do that in ones and fives, and it was way funnier that way. Yeah.
Are you guys on Rockford right now?
Yeah.
Can I say something to the crowd? Get on over to the Rockfin. It's very important. YouTube is censoring us. They're shutting us down. Get to Rockfin. Join in on the fun. You can join in the profits. Get some Ethereum. Transfer it over to Ray and make money with us. Thank you. Sorry. Freedom of speech.
No. I already gave a shout out to Rockfin. I did. No, it's important. It is fucking vital. Okay, so I'm going to disagree a little bit with Pasta in terms of why there should be some encouragement and a little bit of.
You guys tell the white men's meeting
of
that
hope.
you guys are.
White Guy Wednesdays.
Yeah.
I am not invited to White Guy Wednesday.
Okay.
I've never been invited to White Guy Wednesday.
We're going to kick out Nick Braun and bring you in.
I don't know.
Sorry, Frank, you can't come.
I don't know if I want to go to White Man Wednesday.
we listen to Tracy Beans.
I don't own chinos.
I don't want to eat no damn unseasoned food.
I don't know if I can go.
You'll go. You can come.
Can't you borrow some chinos from Manafort?
But yeah.
So where's your optimism coming from? You tell me.
So okay,
Psilocybin. Yeah, you and me are like.
Give me something to be happy about.
No, because I do feel like that in every conceivable political ideology, there are more and more people who have become aware of the fact that this shit is not working for them, and that that's a feature, not a bug. Like the acceleration that we're experiencing right now, the reason that everyone is noticing it is because it's fucking they don't have time. They're rushing. This is the last big fucking power grab from a united predator class, and we have to unite in response to that. And I think that particular message for the first time is starting to become communicated in every sort of sector. I've heard more people talk about we need to build our own communities, and we need to try to become as self-reliant and less efficient on government, even in like progressive and big government circles. They're talking about reduced dependence on the federal government, and that is fucking huge, man. So one of the things that we're trying to do here, one of the goals that we have here while we're in DC, is getting these people united to try and at least secure what's left of the first freedoms that we have in terms of our speech and our press and our ability to communicate with each other.
Yeah, I just hope that we can get enough people to wake up. Like, they're accelerating it so hard.
You already got a freebie, Franco.
What?
You already got a freebie.
He charged him $3 for the microphone this week.
Oh, okay.
So I think with the failure of our leaders, our quote unquote leaders, I think that makes room for people like us to become leaders and step up and challenge them, because there's going to be way more oppression on the way. So with oppression, that leads to more protests. Some of these quote unquote leaders are going to be showing up there. That gives us opportunity to show up and ask them very challenging questions. And then that may be a force for them to step up their game. Like, oh shit, I don't want to be asked these difficult questions by like Combo Couch or by Steve from Slow News. So I'm gonna step up because I don't want to get exposed. But I mean, I don't
think they care about being exposed. I think they care about,
we got to make them feel afraid of getting exposed.
Yes.
There's a difference. There's a difference between and this is going back to Pasta's point too, between the neo-progressives he's talking about, those type of people, being so despondent and being so like not caring about the security state, not caring about Julian Assange through electoralism, and versus people figuring it out through like direct action on the ground stuff, because that's kind of what's happening. We don't have any power and any optimism in the electorate right now. And that's absolutely true. And I agree with Pasta right there. They are not pushing any legislation, the squad, to actually help any journalists like Julian Assange. They're not pushing any legislation to force a vote on Medicare for all. But the people are realizing, like a year ago, you said something negative about AOC, and I got so much like clapback from people who were like, oh no, she's perfect, you give her a chance. Now you're seeing less and less. You're seeing a lot of her fans call her out saying this is wrong.
Fee, that's because everybody's blocked you, because that's what happened to me. all the people who speak out, they don't block me. So
that's true, but
I don't hear from them anymore.
No, but I really do think people like, because I've seen some of these same accounts, and Twitter isn't real life, right? But I am seeing her social media presence decrease from being like hailed to the level it was. And so there's an unraveling and an unveiling here as the empire is crumbling. You're seeing all of the the ugliness, the rot inside of it getting exposed. You're seeing all of that, and that in itself is something to be optimistic about. But that has nothing to do, well, I don't say nothing, but it's outside of the electoral world. So when we say that there's little optimism in the electoralism, yes, there's little optimism. Look, they can't even do something as basic as that. But the optimism is going to come from people doing things like, going to Nancy Pelosi's house, doing things like going to Mitch McConnell's house, doing things like understanding that they're getting screwed by the system. Now it's hurting their pockets. So there's no going around that. And it's only going to get worse. And I think the optimism is in seeing that fall apart, seeing people realize that, and thinking outside the electorate, especially since we're seeing this happen all over the world as well.
Yeah, and I think that there's, I want to be optimistic about that too, but then I also see a bunch of people on Rose Twitter and in progressive circles talking about, Nina running and AOC 2024, and I'm like, God, you guys are you're never gonna learn. It's so depressing. Yeah, that's an amazing ridiculousness.
Yeah, I guess kind of agree with Pasta and Steve. I'm in the middle because it's like I try to keep a little bit of hope, I guess, in the back of my heart to keep going and coming to actions and things like that. But also I'll see people be like, yeah, this stuff kind of sucks, but it's because this is happening or it's because that's happening. So they'll try to get excuses to like push it away and not focus on it. So it's just, I guess, as long as we keep talking to people and letting them know, like, you can come up with as much excuses as you want, but things are not on your side. So I think if we just, keep pushing, it seems like we're starting to break that a little bit. So, yeah.
I think that comes back to the tribalism that Pasta spoke to. Like, people don't want to admit that they were fooled, and they don't want to admit that they were wrong, and they don't want to admit that their team is not, good, and that there are no good guys. And so it's really hard for people to let go of those caricatures that they've like built up in their head of Bernie Sanders. Like, there's this mythology that is not Bernie Sanders at all, but people think he's this guy, and he's not that guy. And breaking through that is going to be really hard because people don't like to admit when they've been had. That's a tough thing.
Yeah. But that's also the most depressing, for me, the most depressing thing is the fact is that right now we have a situation, okay, we have elections, the general election. So, obviously, where I stand, I think this was beyond a rigged election and stuff like that. And it was almost the same exact tactics that happened to Bernie Sanders. And yet those two groups are still opposed to each other. The vast amount of people in the streets, whether it be Black Lives Matter and Antifa, don't get along with those Proud Boys, those Trumpers, whatnot, never whatsoever. So to me, I lose hope, and because I think the majority too of Americans, they're just going to take the cheese and the trap, which is at $600 or the $2,000. They go $600 or $2,000. We got $2,000. It ain't friggin' enough. Now I'm going to get $600 and stuff like that. But that will be enough to consume them, take their mind off what's going on. They're going to order shit online, whatnot, not really get involved, hope to go on with what's going on and stuff like that. But the political class or the group or the activists are still split on both sides. And that's what depresses me the most. The fact that a lot of these leftists, these YouTube leftists, I'm not going to mention any names, Mike Tracy, Kyle Kalinske, not mentioning any names, Aaron Mattei, Jordan Charlton. I mean, all these freaking guys right here.
Debate pasta.
They won't. And that doesn't even bother me. The fact is that they have just missed this great opportunity to say, listen, rigging is a rigging. It happens across the board. It is so cute that you think that Bernie Sanders has cheated in the primaries, but they're not going to cheat in the generals. And it's so just heartbreaking that I'm becoming like you guys. I used to be the nice guy on Twitter, and now I'm going after motherfuckers because I don't give a shit. No more Mr. Nice Pasta.
I don't know what you're talking about.
I love this guy over here. This guy, he's a friend of ours.
This is fantastic. It is. No, look, when we were at this force the vote thing, like, you still get the sense though that most of the people that are there and most of the people that spoke today think that there's a political solution to this or an electoral solution to this. And that's going to be one of the more interesting things about the next couple of days. Is I was really hoping that Jackson would make it over here for this. I'm going to try and get him over here for one of these so we can like, not, infect people with realism. I guess is what, because look, man, I don't know. Everybody is on a path. Everybody's at a different part in their path than you are, than I am. But in a period of accelerationism, we need to communicate exactly what is the root of the problem. And they identified it at the protest earlier. Like, we need to start looking more at systems and less at people. And yes, that's exactly right. But when you look at the system and you go, we need to get money out of politics.
Hell yeah.
Okay, I agree with that. What does that mean? Are you going to try and do it legislatively? Because that's never going to fucking happen. No.
That's like the cops investigating themselves. That's not gonna happen.
It really is. It's asking the Catholic Church to conduct an investigation into priest pedophilia.
Yes.
It is.
Well, this last Pope, I thought he was a lot better than the Pope before.
Bill Maher even liked Pope Frank.
Yeah, there will be a task force and there will be a report, and then nothing will happen. Like, they're not going to.
The report will be redacted.
I mean, come on, you guys. They have mortgages on several different estates, and they have yachts to buy, and they have baby yachts to put inside their bigger yachts. So they're not going to legislate the money out of that. I mean, come on. Would you be honest with yourself if you were in that?
If I had a boat that I could park in my boat,
right? Would you legislate money out of your job? No.
I would be in international waters doing whatever the fuck I wanted. Believe that. Believe that. That's why I made John McAfee's pirate yacht my co-vice president, along with Kendra. Yeah.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, these people are psychopaths. They're not going to legislate against themselves ever, never. They're always going to do whatever they can to benefit themselves. That's it. So, I mean, there's no way that you are going to get an electoral solution to any of these problems. It's way bigger than that. We're way beyond that. It's well past time that could have been an effective. At one point, that probably could have been an effective strategy. We probably could have done, some mass protests and major reforms, and we probably could have, but we're well past that now. Like, there's no going back. Like I said before, going back now.
I think it's important not to give up the front like the actual like position of electoral politics in the larger information war. And even if we're not going to win through a political means, it gives us one of the easiest ways to organize. It gives you the broadest spectrum of ideas if you run as an independent. And the trick, though, and the problem is when a campaign ends, people just stop, right? When Bernie Sanders' campaign ended, he didn't keep fighting. He ended his campaign, right? And so that's the problem with politicians is you don't have people running for office on specific issues. You have personalities running for office that when they don't get their cookies, they step away from the table and then come back a few years later. So the thing we need to do if people choose to use electoral politics as a means for achieving an end of saving humanity, don't stop organizing when your campaign ends. If you lose that race, whether it's stolen from you or you legitimately lost, keep organizing. If you had a regularly scheduled event that happened the second Thursday of every month, keep that going, because 2 years from now, you'll have 4 times as many people to then press for office again. And if anything, you become the thorn in the side. And if there's a million thorns across the country, eventually one of them's going to hit him in the eye so we can punch him in the gut.
I think that's a big problem. A lot of people don't have the stamina for sustained activism. It's hard. There's a lot. I mean, you get beat down every day and there's rarely any success, and it's constant, like just, name calling, and it's hard work and it's thankless. And so, I mean, that's a hard thing for people to have sustained energy for. And I think that's a big problem that we face.
Isn't the pressure in the street that we're supposed to be giving, though, isn't it supposed to be to pressure our elected officials to do what we want them to do?
Yes. Should be.
Yeah, I mean, if you take what Ryan Grimm put out that everybody was retweeting, right? The Pago thing, and AOC retweeted that, and she was all like, oh, see, this is why we have to do it this way and blah, blah, blah. That type of gaslighting, because it has to be brought to a floor vote. Still, Nancy Pelosi or whoever the speaker is has to bring it to a floor vote. So again, this is just that continuous belief. These people are there to continue herding people back into the Democratic Party. And the only way to break that mold is for the system to fail. That's why there were some people that this time around who were on the left decided to vote for Trump, because they were like, we just have to destroy the Democratic Party. While I didn't agree with, necessarily having to vote for either lesser of evil. I understand that notion of like having to destroy this party that is keeping every weapon that we could ever have towards fighting the actual establishment, because they keep pretending that they're actually helping people and these people are buying it. Let's talk about the Georgia Senate races. Nobody can fucking convince me ever again to, like, not that they did before, but I don't even want to hear it now. I don't want to hear you about making phone calls for the Democrat in Georgia when he's an establishment guy. He's against Medicare for all. And you're over here trying to say, well, we got to get the Senate. We got to get the Senate to be Democratic, when only 5 Democrats stood on the right side with an independent that is Sanders, who has pretty much become a Democrat, echoing the same exact messages. But even that, they couldn't even do that. So there is no legitimate reason to continue voting for a Democrat, to continue voting at all, when we know that we don't have a democracy. But I don't think we should just give up. I don't think electoralism is going to take us there. I think the push and the change in electoralism is going to happen after shit hits the fan and people demand what they need. And it's not just enough to protest. You have to strike. You have to shut shit down. And the only way people are going to do that is if they have help. But this is like why I'm saying, like, this is a time where I've been hearing people say, oh, mutual aid. How do we help each other? How do we do these things? And this is, I haven't seen that for a very long time. You saw a little bit during 2012 with Occupy Wall Street, but you didn't really see it like at this level. And now it's gotten worse and worse. And now my generation, as a millennial, we've lived through 2 large transfers of wealth. We've never known anything that's like remotely normal, and we're still getting shit shot on. And then we have the Gen Z, Glory Jones, folks who are realizing that these kids are getting completely active and activated, and they know so much, and they're not taking any shit. there is a movement to co-opt them and bring them into this sort of new progressivism. And that's why voices like you guys' and ours, we have to keep talking about it. We have to keep waking people up in that way and pushing the idea that electoralism alone won't save you. And that is the antithesis of what these progressives want, because they still are clinging onto that hope of, well, maybe we need an inside-outside strategy. And honestly, Pasta and I had that strategy when we first started the show. We were like, oh, hey, maybe we could get some people in there and we could see if they could. But no, it never fucking happens. I'm sorry. I like Nina Turner, but I don't think running as a Democrat and the way she wasn't really good on force the vote, it's just really showing me that she's going to play ball or something's going to happen. I just hate seeing people continuously put their effort into personalities that they think are going to save them. Like, nobody's going to save us.
Of course Nina Turner's going to play ball. Are you guys kidding me? Like, she'll do what AOC does, and she'll put out snarky tweets, and she'll give big speeches, and she's a great speaker, and she knows all the right words to say. But of course she's going to play ball. You don't get to run in the Democratic Party if you're not willing to play ball. I mean, that's it. And I disagree with Andrew about giving up the front of electoralism, because that is a waste of time and energy and resources. We don't have those luxuries. We're well beyond that. We need to unite together now. And I know that's not going to happen, but in a perfect world, that's, electoralism we would like it. Maybe not even just, like Steve said before, not even just not voting, but showing up to polling locations and preventing other people from voting. This should be a full-on attack.
Shut them down.
That should be we should be attacking them right now. We are on the defensive, and we always have been. And there's never going to be any change until we flip that and we, realize that we can't just sit back and let things happen to us and do nothing about it. At some point, we're going to have to hit back. And general strikes are a great thing. I have long said that if we could shut down, airports or the trucking industry, we would be able to we'd have Medicare for all within a couple weeks if we shut that down, because, and those are things that it's not easy to get. Those are skilled positions. Pilots and truck drivers are skilled positions. They would have to bring people in from other countries to fill those jobs, or send people through training, which, I'm not sure how long it takes to train to be a pilot, but I think even being a trucker is a super long time, longer than it is to be a cop. So, that would be amazing. I don't think that's going to happen. I think that's what Nina Turner is there for, to bring people back in and say, oh, look, see, I'm a progressive, and yeah, I have to run within the Democratic Party, but, I'm still on your team, and people are going to line right up. She's already bringing in a shit ton of people.
Mm-hmm.
I don't see that we're going to get enough people to recognize, the farce of electoralism, before it's too late. It's just, people, it's hard for people to imagine anything else, I think.
So I learned about money in politics in 2016. And based off of the logic of that, of our politicians, our Congress being filled with corporate Democrats, corporate Republicans, I thought that the litmus test was, don't vote for anybody who takes corporate money. So why the fuck were people, progressives, celebrating Ed Markey?
Yeah.
When he beat Kennedy, well,
or pushing Elizabeth Warren.
Either of them. If they take corporate money, don't celebrate them. Don't vote for them.
Elizabeth Warren.
Hold your vote until they stop taking corporate money. Say Elizabeth Warren, all these people. Why are you celebrating them? Progressive, these people who call themselves progressive. If you guys ever see anybody celebrating Ed Markey or any of these people on Twitter or anything, shut that down. Remind them the litmus test is no corporate money. Because they signed on to Medicare for all, they signed on to the Green New Deal. That's symbolic. Yeah. Kamala Harris signed on to Medicare for all, and then in the end she backed out of it. Cory Booker backed out of it as well.
Co-sponsors are meaningless.
And then AOC was giving that excuse. She was like,
yes.
If you want to see who's really for Medicare for all, just look at who signed on for it. Bullshit. Yeah. They're gonna back out of it when the time finally comes down to it. They're gonna back out of it. That's the real test, when you see who actually votes for it. So just shut it down. Anytime somebody brings up, they're celebrating Ed Markey or Elizabeth Warren or any of these people. Oh, we're gonna have more people that are going to be challenging the Republicans. No, they're not. They're paid by the same people. Everything else is a front.
Yeah, my favorite thing is now that people say you can't criticize the progressives because they don't take corporate money. Well, they vote like they do. So what difference does it fucking make?
Ooh.
What difference does it make? What is the point of them?
They take dark money.
Yes, they do take a
They
lot of
take
dark
a
money.
fuck ton of dark money. Nita Turner is on the board of 2 dark money organizations right now. Currently. And
Nina
somehow
Turner had
also
John
on the
Kasich.
advisory board for Movement for a People's Party.
Yeah.
She's running as a Democrat. And on the, did you know, I think maybe you saw that, I don't know, but like an actual organizer had to bring it to the attention of Movement for a People's Party that they didn't have any organizers on their
Yeah,
advisory.
it's all celebrities. It's all like, celebrities and
Not a single election integrity advisor.
no.
No.
Interesting how that works. But I'm sure it's fine. It's fine. You just got to vote harder. Phone bank more. It's fine.
Right.
Donate more, guys. Send more money to these politicians. That'll help.
Movement for a limited hangout.
Yeah. That's a whole other animal that now we have to deal with. Now we have Movement for a People's Party bringing in people into this, hopium environment where we can just, vote harder and everything will be fine.
That's an action for Assange word, hopium. You guys have put that on the map. And speaking about corporate money, and electoral politics, I saw progressives telling me to go vote for that certain senator in Georgia. And I told them, you're making me laugh my ass off. Does Andrew want to name some people who's taking corporate money in the Democratic Party for us?
Do it. Name names.
So this was something we saw back in 2018 when we had governor's races across the country and all of that, right? I'm not a progressive. I'm not a Democrat. I'm not a conservative. I'm not a Republican. I'm none of those things, right? But you had in 2018, and then again to the same extent in 2020, all of these progressives literally turn ranks from progressives and support opponents of them, where you had Andrew Gillum in Florida that got supported. You had Andrew Cuomo in New York that got supported. You had the fucking dictator Gretchen Whitmer get supported by Abdul Saeed, who's Bernie Sanders' progressive front henchman. And then Gretchen Whitmer turns around and fucking bans you from buying goddamn seeds in the middle of springtime so you can't grow your own fucking crops in the middle of a lockdown. But you have to go to the grocery store anyways to buy food.
You could buy Monsanto seeds from big box stores.
And those are just 3 of those named personalities, right? Of all of them, if you look across the country, which progressives, even if they're outside of the Democratic Party, did progressives support? None.
And they always do the same move. They run as a progressive in the primary, and as soon as they get that nomination, Gillum, you were talking about Andrew Gillum, as soon as he got that nomination, right? And I can't remember the young lady's name who he just barely beat, whose father was once the governor, because our boy Joe Krebs was supporting her, and it came right down to it. It was the progressives that put Andrew Gillum over the top and made him win that primary. As soon as he got that nomination, he's doing the Get the Band tour back together all over South Florida with who? Debbie Wasserman Schultz. Give me an effing break.
Yeah. He turned around so fast on Medicare for All. That's another one that was all Medicare for All until he got his nomination. And then suddenly he turned tail so quickly. And that's what frustrates me is that, you have people pretending like Jamal Bowman and Cori Bush are actually going to go in and fight for something. They're not. Come on. Are you kidding me? Like they can still talk a little game right now because they haven't taken office yet. The minute they get in that building, they will be co-opted. They have already been completely co-opted.
How dare you fucking say that, right-wing grifter?
I know. Not a collaborator. I know. It's terrible, right? Like
you have clearly been collaborating with Nazis to have that and Russians, and you're probably getting that ghost commie money too.
Yes, and I want all your clout. All your clout belong to me. Yeah. But I mean, these people are not. Do you really think? I just wonder how many times do we have to go through this very same scenario before people are like, hey, this is what happened last time. Maybe we should try something else.
Well, look at where we are right now. And I mean, physically right now, right here in Washington, D.C., where we're here because the biggest press freedom trial in our lifetimes has taken place in a virtual entire media landscape blackout. And there are, I guarantee you, in fact, I'll illustrate this point in a moment. I'll guarantee you there are more people that have been made aware of Force the Vote, which was organized like a week ago, than of our protest, just by how censored and siloed we are, because it's the biggest press freedom trial in a fucking lifetime, and nobody gets to know about that. We ran into a woman this morning who we're going to see tomorrow because she couldn't find any information about our event. Thought she saw something, remembered seeing something, couldn't find anything about it, so organized a protest within like her circle. So they're going to be showing up at noon tomorrow. We ran into her this morning. We got to talk to her about it, and that's all sorted. But because of how hard it was to find out information about what we're doing for the decisions, ultimately the next step in the war on the truth is what it amounts to. But us being here is a heavily guarded secret, apparently, which is why for everybody watching right now, it's so fucking important that you guys, if you can get here, get here. If you can't get here, go make noise this weekend and on Monday. It's 5 o'clock in the morning is right around the time that we're going to find out what the decision is. So that's plenty of time for you to get something together that day.
Dude, all you need is one person and a sign. Go out. One person and a sign. That's all you need. Go out, stand on a street corner. I know that sounds bad, but go out and stand on a street corner with your sign and be the one-man protest. Andrew says it all the time. It doesn't take like a big, shiny organizational production. It takes one person and a sign. Piece of poster board.
Little discourse for food. No, I don't
know. Who on the left is really obviously we're here for this Force the Vote thing. Jimmy stepped up big and kind of did this whole thing, and everybody got in line. Who on the left has really stood up and organized? We're small meat and potatoes. Who big on the left, the big name, has stepped up for fucking Julian Assange? Huh?
Nobody.
That's what I'm saying. What, I got a tweet from Pamela Anderson,
Yeah.
Sarah Palin the other day. Why are right wingers stepping up bigger than
Rose McGowan,
anybody on the left?
I'll say this, man. Like Chris Hedges and Ellsberg and those guys are part of the Assange defense, and they were instrumental in helping us get the word out about this event. I believe Hedges is in London, so that he can cover this. But I mean, really, like Kevin Gostola and Shadowproof have done an exemplary job. Max Blumenthal should have no. Yeah, should be.
Jesse Ventura should have his ass out here.
But I mean, Garland Nixon on his shows, but I mean, there's no like, but no, I mean, there's
the rock star. Where's Mark Ruffalo?
Right? No, Mark Ruffalo. Right? Didn't he get in trouble for like
being a Nazi?
Yeah, being a Nazi because he had a Tulsi Gabbard shirt and fucking said something like.
No, he wouldn't go to a fundraiser, and so
wouldn't go to a fundraiser. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
But you should hit me up. I like Nazis.
Cancel that fucking guy.
Nazis. Like, hit me up, Chris Pratt. We'll hang out. I like Nazis. That's totally gonna get like clipped out. People are showing that everywhere. Conrad Misty likes somebody.
Why the fuck isn't Marianne Williamson on board? Isn't this like an Orb Queen pipe dream, dude?
No,
like
she is so. She's like one of the worst people. She's so bad.
Christy sees through your bullshit. She sees through your soul.
Yeah.
I doubt that was a dig. at
She's
Marianne
like
Williamson.
Oprah Winfrey's like spiritual guru. Anybody who considers himself a guru can go fuck off. Like that's you're full of yourself. You are beyond full
Asa
of yourself.
considers himself a guru.
Self-help bullshit. No, thank you.
Kitchen
Sorry,
guru.
sis. I ain't got no time.
Kitchen guru.
I mean, come on.
Go listen to Cosmic Debris by Frank Zappa.
But self-help gurus, if there has ever been a grifter, there you go. I mean, Tony Robbins, all those people, those are grifters. Those are grifters. That's like the definition of it. That word gets thrown around a lot, but those people, they're snake oil salesmen. I got no time for that.
We should talk a little bit about how difficult it's been for the press to be able to cover this trial, like this specific court date. Because initially
Reporters Without
there
Borders
was,
got shut out again.
pardon?
Reporters Without Borders got shut out again.
I thought they actually got in.
No,
it
Rebecca
was-
Vincent posted about it again and said that they got shut out now.
I haven't really been able to look in like all day.
No, this was like
Um,
yesterday. Hold on, I'll look it
Okay,
up.
well, and I was by like 13 hours of fucking travel yesterday.
Yeah.
You drove?
No,
Like 2 days, 13.
no,
That's a fucking shitty.
no. I was out of my house at like 8:30 in the morning, and I got here around 10 at night. And yeah, there's a time difference, but not. You know how it is.
I had a 2.5 hour flight and I was bitching. I'm talking half hour with everything.
Fucking princess over here, man.
Terrible.
Like T straight up had a T. Fee had a
Pretzels on the plane.
Fee had a tiara on, and he's a bigger princess.
Yeah.
Not denying it.
Yeah.
Not
Yeah,
in
she
some
said yesterday
ways.
on Twitter that he's the
In
diva.
some
In
ways.
every way.
No, not in every way.
Okay.
She's a bigger queen.
Your suitcase is bigger. Come on.
Ooh.
I had a backpack only. You checked
It's
your
a
luggage.
giant ass backpack. No, I didn't. I didn't check my luggage. I did not check it.
This is fucking hilarious.
Johnny had a giant.
Where is Johnny?
He just got the.
Did he go to your
He's bitching
Airbnb
about
or
the
something?
Airbnb guys. He says we only get parking for 2 hours, and
What?
they didn't make that clear in the Airbnb.
Oh.
These people
That
fucking,
sucks.
they're terrible, man. These DC people.
I love our Airbnb.
Okay, Steve, do you want to know what Vincent said? What Rebecca Vincent said?
Yes, please screen share that shit so
Okay, I have it on my
the
phone.
the
Hold on,
folks
I
at
Hold on, I
so the folks at home
I can pull it up.
can see it too.
It'll take me a second to get to it, but yeah, I can pull it up. Yeah, she just tweeted this out. Stella tweeted about it too.
Stella, get the bagel.
And every time I mention Frank Zappa, some fuck's got to come in my chat and be like, "But Laurel Canyon, though," and I know, and I'm gonna have that show. Jared Beck's gonna be on like towards the end of the month, and we're going to do the entire Tavistock, Beatles, Laurel Canyon, Haight Ashbury thing. Okay, so that's gonna happen. January 17th, Richard Gage, the founder of Architects and Engineers for 9/11 Truth, will be on Slow News Day. Dylan Avery, who wrote and directed their new documentary 7, may show up for that. It depends on his schedule, but I will be talking to him at some point soon too. MMA legend and co-host of Mixed Martial Mindset with Jason Burmis, John Fitch, will be on Slow News Day next Thursday.
Oh hell yeah, I like that guy.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. We got good stuff coming up.
And Burmis just did an interview with Dylan Avery. It's real good.
I saw that. I did.
Breaking news.
All right, are you ready, Steve?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Okay. Okay. So.
What should we read? I'll read some breaking news.
Okay. Did it come up okay, Sleepy?
Yeah, you good.
Okay.
Don't forget
I'm
to hit
checking all
stop
this
when you're
down,
done with
so
it,
I'm gonna
though.
double check. Okay, so
Contradicting, eh?
she retweeted herself where she had been talking about being notified that they were going to have access to the cloud video platform. And then she says in response to that, I received further contradicting correspondence from the judge seeking clarification, but I don't believe Reporters Without Borders remote accreditation will be honored. We will still attempt to monitor Monday's extradition decision, however possible. We must bear witness. And then she says, I wish I could say I was surprised or disappointed, but unfortunately, this is par for the course. Absolutely nothing is normal in this case. There have been extensive and evolving barriers to monitoring all year, and this is no different. So it is looking like they are potentially going to be denied access once again, and that sucks.
Well, and it is par for the course. If it's one of the things that makes it, you know, even an even bigger challenge. The 10 years of multiple governments and intelligence agencies and a hostile press conspiring to destroy this man's entire being and reputation and create a completely false life.
A caricature. They created an evil villain, like a comic book villain.
10 years of that aside, like that makes it hard. You know, that's a lot. That's a big old web of shit to untangle. It is. And you add that the UK court system just blocking out the press and observing organizations from being able to monitor the biggest press freedom trial in fucking modern history. Yeah, it's a community. It creates a communication gap. And then now that we've got, you know, DC locking down, especially they're locking down hardcore ahead of the Stop the Steal rally because they're afraid that, you know, the Trump supporters are going to show up and they're all going to be super spreaders and none of them are going to wear masks and they're all going to be but my freedom about it. And then, you know, DC will become a festering shithole of virus-ridden people. And look, I guarantee you that if you knew how many people in this town were taking medication for gonorrhea or chlamydia or whatever it is they've contracted, you'd be like, oh yeah, COVID ain't got shit on.
Well, never mind even that. Like these politicians are still traveling around. Like there was a bunch of Democrats that went to Hawaii for some like get together, and like they haven't changed anything. Like they're having private dinner parties. Gavin, what's his name? Gavin Newsom in California is having like private dinner parties for his birthday. Yeah, I mean, come on. They're not taking it seriously, and then they wonder why nobody else takes it seriously. Well, when you have Gavin Newsom throwing, you know, dinner parties with 30 guests and then telling everybody that they have to stay home and you can't open your business and all this other shit, fuck you, dude. Like there shouldn't be two different, you know, rules about how we handle COVID. Like rich people, you can do whatever you want, it's fine. But if you're not rich, then you have to lock down and lose your job and your health care and all that stuff. Like it's ridiculous. So yeah, I mean, the politicians are already doing all their own traveling. They're their own super spreaders. It's just they have access to the best healthcare on planet Earth.
Hang on, real quick. Gordon. No, it's on silent. I'm sorry. But
Hi,
that's
Gordon.
hilarious.
I love Gordon. I love Gordon so much.
So I got some breaking news talking about some of those senators and Congress people. There's now going to be 140 people in the House to object to the election results, but also now 11 senators have joined Mr. Hawley. He was the first there, including Ted Cruz, and they're going to demand a 10-day emergency audit to get in there. So I don't know what this means. I mean, I know every single step of the way, the left and all the neo-progressives and the people like who should be saying, Bernie, you should be standing with these people because if they get an audit, then they can start auditing everything. And there's a lot of data and evidence that you were cheated. They go back, they look at that shit, and they got to basically hand him the nomination next time, no matter what, because they'll be under the biggest microscope so whatsoever. So this move today, I know the left is going to say it's nothing. They've been thrown out every single fucking court, which people don't know shit what goes on. All these judges throw this shit out. They've been throwing shit out for years. They don't want to go near elections. They never do. They never have. And every single step of the way, they always deny us of what? Our data that belongs to us. For 22 months after an election, that data belongs to us. They never give it to us. They never let us look at it. If the Democrats were so sure that they won this election, then they shouldn't be scared of an audit. And if they do get this audit, it's lights out. I would bet my left pinky that if they get this audit, they will find everything under the sun, because they cheated this shit up to high heaven. You know what I'm saying? They've never had a situation where they allowed people to go in and look at the software. And if this happens, it's lights out. So, I mean, maybe something good comes out of this from election integrity, but that's the breaking news right now. 11 senators have joined. 10 other senators have joined Josh Hawley, and they're going to ask for a 10-day emergency audit. So we'll see what's what.
Does anyone remember? Does anyone remember when CIA Pete stole Iowa?
Yeah.
like 8 months ago,
10 months ago.
10 months ago,
If you asked Jordan Sheridan, it was last week.
Yeah. But the whole Democratic Party fucking forgot, right? They forgot that the number 3 person is working alongside the number 13 person and somehow beat someone who could fill Major League football stadiums. 5.
Yeah.
Sorry,
Well,
5 and 13.
That's kind of like I kind of wonder, like, how serious are the Republicans about even getting an audit? Because if they do get an audit, then that means they're probably going to get audited, and they break the rules too. And that's why these parties work together. Like, neither one of them really wants an audit because it exposes all of them. They all use election fraud.
But Misty, let me say this much. You and Fee are on the same page. I can't wait when you guys get in the same room together and get on a show. It's going to be amazing. Nobody can hide from you. Nobody's bullshit can get by you two ladies. I'll tell you that much. But let me say this much, and this is something I think a lot of people on the left hate to admit, or wherever the fuck we are in the spectrum right now. I don't even know. But there are a lot more rogue, free-thinking, I don't want to say free-thinking, but more for civil liberties, more for election integrity, rogue Republicans, at least, than there are Democrats right now. The Democrats, the rogue Democrats, or the Democrats, the progressives, they don't even have the guts to stand up and demand Medicare for all. But they never look at those issues like civil liberties or elections, whatnot, and stuff. You know what I'm saying? We've had people like Josh Hawley go out there, the Senate hearing, get a whistleblower, give him some information, put Mark Zuckerberg on the spot about this type of a type of software that they're using where Google, Facebook, Twitter are coordinating with each other for content moderation. So when you get your video taken down from one thing and we get our video taken down from another platform, they're talking with each other. Nobody on the left is talking about that. So, I mean, I hate to say it, that I do have a little hope on the right, and the Trump brand is a little bit different. They're not regular Republicans. And a lot of Trumpsters are seeing, oh, these are the establishment rhinos. There's no difference between Mitch McConnell, Chuck Schumer, and Nancy Pelosi. They're the same. Fiorello has been talking about that for a while. I didn't want to say it, but now I see it as plain as day. But there are more lone sharks, guys who would take a shot on the right.
Loan sharks.
Loan sharks. Loan sharks that might just try to ruffle the feathers with a Trump type of clan who's not a Republican, not an old-time politician. So, like, maybe we get something here.
Land sharks?
No, loan sharks. They're alone. Happy birthday, Franco.
Thank you again. Yeah, I just had a question. So let's say they do find election fraud that happened. What happens after that? Do they do a recount or revote, or like is it like a sports team, like, or a sports game where like the cheaters get disqualified? Like what happens?
Numerous things could happen, right? So number one, they go in there and they say, oh, we found enough ballots that are not good, that are not valid, that we throw them out, essentially flipping these states to Trump and giving them the election. Or there's just so much of a mishmash where they say, okay, we have to have a special election in these contested states on this certain day, bring in the National Guard there this time is what will happen. Donald Trump will do that to make sure there's no bullying and people getting pushed out and all that other bullshit going on, and they'll monitor the elections. I think Joe Biden and the Democrats will demand the UN come in. They want the blue hats in. You know what I'm saying? The white helmets. But I mean, that's one thing that could happen. They can either strip enough votes from the states from Biden that they find are false, giving those states to Trump, or have a special election date for those 5 states. And who knows? Or they just shut this all down, and the Democrats, or the establishment, I shouldn't say, sorry, Fee, the establishment has so much power that we're just go to Rockfin. Basically, 16 million from Joe Biden. I'm sorry. Go to Rock. Well, you know what I'm saying. If they have this much power, it's lights out. They can throw Julian Assange right now. I mean, come on. What's going on with Julian? What is Julian guilty of? Have a 100% accuracy rating? You never have to retract the story ever? Bringing the people the truth about what goes on in our wars? Meanwhile, we have a president who says, all these stupid census wars, all these stupid census wars. But who really has the power? His ass just got cheated in the middle of the night, 3 a.m., and everybody on the left is saying, no, it really could happen. You know, Joe Biden, 11 more million votes than Obama. Yeah, he couldn't fill the living room. Yeah. We have more people in this room right now than at the last 2 Joe Biden rallies combined.
That's true.
Right?
That's accurate.
But you want to believe. Don't get me started here, Fee. This is actually for Assange. Stay on topic.
No, I mean, on that note, you know, like election integrity is like.
Oh yeah, Josh has a hard out in 23 minutes.
Sleepy Josh, we love you.
We love you, Sleepy J.
Love you guys.
No, election integrity is such a non-sexy issue, right?
Of those,
like election integrity is an issue that is like Julian Assange's issue, like free speech. It's an issue that is really hard to convince people to talk on. It's so controversial, so taboo. Like talking about it is a risk. This is why there's like us and like Ben Swan who have talked about it from a more leftist perspective. And it becomes really clear. And I agree with Missy 100%. I don't think either party is really looking for the truth here. And I feel like some of the people that surround Trump are entirely compromised, are entirely trying to really just throw this out, using the election issue as kind of a way to attack the same boogeyman's that the other version of that the Democratic Party has. Russia, they have China, Venezuela, the commie. It's the same scare tactics used to divide, and they're using Trump to do this, but it's a very real issue. That is a sad part. It is an issue that has been very real for a long time, but when you attach it to Trump, it gets dismissed by a lot of people on the left. And also that goes also too with Assange. When you have people that are pro-Trump supporting Assange, you get the left saying, oh, those people are all like together. And, you know, and it's ridiculous, but it is once again that tribalism. And I think that tribalism is perpetuated by the establishment doing what they're doing. And so like what's going to happen is in my opinion, we're not going to see the truth come out from election integrity, just like every other issue, until people actually wake up and demand it and do something as organized direct action again for it. It's not going to happen because these people, it's not convenient for them. It would destroy the belief in the system completely. If people found out that their votes haven't counted, that this whole system is really corrupt, and they had like the numbers and the proof, it would destroy the machine. It would destroy the matrix that has been created, right? And so the only way for them to maintain that is to, even if they say they want the truth, they're not gonna let the truth come out. So I'm a little bit more pessimistic in that regard than Pasta. I don't think that we're gonna see any genuine effort from either end to really give us election integrity reform.
No, and I think that there may be, like Pasta said, there may be a couple rogue people who like genuinely want to address the issue. But I think for the most part, this is it's theater. I mean, this is just they're using it to save face. Oh, look, we fought for you. Like we actually tried to, those corrupt Democrats, like we really tried to get them, and we're the party to believe in, and look what they did to you. It's this whole back and forth thing that they use to keep people in their separate camps, not talking amongst each other. And Fee is 100% right. Like when, Sarah Palin comes out in defense of Assange, I suddenly have leftists attacking me for retweeting her. When my whole thing is free speech and Julian Assange, and she just spoke out in his defense. Of fucking course, I'm going to retweet her. If you have a problem with that, go fuck yourself. Like, I actually care about the shit I'm fighting for. And if that means using Sarah Palin to, bring attention and awareness to the cause, then I'm going to do that. She has a huge platform. I don't care if you're left, if you're right, if you're center. I don't give a shit. If you speak out in defense of Julian Assange, then I will amplify that and use whatever, platform you have and whatever popularity you have to bring more attention to what we're fighting for. That should be like common sense. Like just duh. Like, do you want to win or do you want to be morally superior? Because I want to win.
So Russiagate and Trump bad is a one size fits all explanation for every conceivable thing that we've been talking about and advocating for, and this includes the force the vote thing too. It's always lumped in with far too many people for Julian Assange. When people freak out about right wingers saying nice things about Julian Assange, occasionally it's always, oh, well, that's because he helped your guy get into office because he was working with Russia to hack the. Nothing you said is true. And let's now go piece by piece. And here's why. But it's the same thing with questioning every single word of the COVID narrative. If you're like, hey, wait a minute, but why do we have to reorganize society? It's, well, you're a Trump supporter. Wait, no, what? No, hang on. I just don't understand why. That's because you love Trump and you want to kill old people. And it's like, what? No, but it's lazy. It's lazy,
so lazy,
but it works. On so many fucking people, it works. And I don't know why. I don't know why something that fucking convenient and that obviously contrived is a fallback position for all of the ills that may be laid at the feet of the Democratic establishment or the neoliberal fucking new project for American century or whatever the fuck you want to call them. I don't know why. So I'm hoping that while we're all here, we can kind of break through that a little bit, because Donald Trump isn't serious about challenging election integrity.
No,
he's not.
He's putting on a show because he doesn't want to look bad. Like he doesn't.
Well, it exposes the entire grift. I can't remember who I was talking to about this, but it was the other day. Like, well, how can you say that America doesn't have fair elections? And I'm like, well, okay, so even if you discount everything else, the fact that we have electronic voting machines deciding the outcome of our elections means we don't have free and fair elections, because we don't get a look. We don't get to audit the software. We don't get to look at the source code. The source code's proprietary, and on its face, that in and of itself means we don't have free and fair elections. And they were like, really? Yeah, really? This is gonna be a long day, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, my favorite thing is, okay, I don't believe in electoral politics. I hate all politicians. And people will still pull that thing with me. Like if I say something positive about Tulsi Gabbard or something, and all of a sudden I'm a Tulsi stan. I'm like, no, she just wrote some really cool legislation that has to do with, like what I do. So, yeah, that, yeah, that's always interesting to me. Like I've been called a Trump supporter by Bernie stans. I've been called a Tulsi stan. I've been called a Republican, a Democrat, a Nazi, you name it. I hate all politicians. None of them are worth a damn. I don't know how many times I have to say that out loud before people stop coming at me pretending like I stand for some politician somewhere, because that doesn't happen. But it's like they can't even wrap their mind around a world where you could actually look at each individual circumstance on its own merits and look at each individual piece of legislation that they put out or each vote that they, cast or whatever on its own merits. Like, you have to be on team AOC and everything she does is good. And if you say anything bad about her, then you're mean. And that's ridiculous.
Yeah.
It's so infantile.
You know what? Kind of piggybacking on that too, and what Steve was just talking about, kind of combining together and talking. You talk about teams and whatnot. I am just so surprised right now that, like, everything that's happened when it comes to electoral politics, because even if you guys are right and Donald Trump doesn't give a shit about electoral politics or fixing these elections, there are 72 million people now who are pissed off because only Bernie Sanders had this kind of energy and this kind of wave and this kind of movement, and he did nothing on this. He folded and bent the knee, and he bent the knee early. Donald Trump right now is going a long, long way, going the distance, and now the conversation is moved so far along the way. So even if Donald Trump is not serious about it, he's provided and opened a door. Like I said, I would be expecting Bernie Sanders this time around in 2020, after it happened twice, you might think he might say, I'm going to object to this shit. I'm going to ask for audits. I'm going to get my nose in now. I'm going to educate people about elections. But he didn't. Donald Trump is doing that. And we're working on a letter right now, right? And I'm just like you guys have like 100 stacks of letters over there. What is it? The Free Assange and stuff. I'm going to have this sheet that explains the framework and the areas in which we need to fix our elections and understand it and explain to people, hey, man, it's proprietary software. At the very least, we need an open source software. And if we don't do that, no matter what, we have to go hand count and 100% audit in public where it's casted and where it's counted. We need to start limiting our mail-in places to just senior citizens and handicapped people and make it more efficient and less suppression at the polls, politically and racially. You know what I'm saying? Across the board. So I'm going to educate these people as much as I can. So the opportunity, no matter what, for electoral politics has been provided. And you know what I'm saying? Once again, it's bizarro world for me as I'm talking this 6th on Thursday to a bunch of Trump people where I expected to be doing this in front of a bunch of Bernie people. But I'm going to take advantage and do what you said. Keep fighting for what we're talking about. You know what I'm saying? I might not have a politician I'm fighting for in this world right now, but I'm fighting for what I believe in, and that's electoral politics. Do we have a hard out, Sleepy Josh?
Yeah, 12 minutes.
We got 12 minutes. So this kind of goes back to what we were talking about at the beginning with going after systems and not people. And yes, it takes people to make those systems operate, but if you don't address the root problems, i.e. these systems, then you don't get anywhere. It's like trying to communicate to progressives that domestic policy is determined by foreign policy. What we're doing around the world and the money we spend doing it and the money that's generated from it and the way that careers are shuffled around, that determines what gets done domestically. Because everything that we're doing in foreign countries, especially when it comes to the surveillance, especially when it comes to the targeting of dissidents, especially when it comes to just in general propagandizing the populace, that's being done to American citizens every single day. So, of course, domestic policy is going to reflect what is being done internationally and where the money's moving. And so many people don't understand that's a first step. Like, people can rattle off, military industrial complex. Sure. But what does that really mean? Can they tell you what that really means and what that extends to, and that it means the fucking national security state too?
Yeah.
Because
so many progressives won't even examine that. Like, you can't even start a dialogue with them, because if you do, they shut down. It's like they can't process how foreign policy is intrinsically linked to domestic policy and why it matters. There's this brain blockage. I don't know what that is.
Yeah, and the lack of stimulus now is an example, I would say, of sanctions on the American people. Like the U.S. is sanctioning its own people, and
That's awesome.
they're also every election year is like a coup. Like they elect somebody who they want as leader.
Yeah.
But
Joe Guaido.
Joe Guaido.
Joe Guaido!
First it was Pete Guaido. What he did in freaking Iowa, and then Jordan Sheraton wanted to take all the credit for like the great work that like Fee and Combo Couch did.
For
Pasta.
little fucking charlatan come lately.
So Steve, you brought
I
up.
guarantee you this is the first time that Jordan Charlton has ever come last.
Steve,
it's no longer PG-13.
You mentioned
Ew,
talking in systems
fuck you.
with people. Like, how do you go about speaking like this?
Violence.
What happened?
Josh said fuck. That's
violence, Sleepy Josh.
What's the penalty?
Demerit. You get a demerit, and then you have to write, I will not be violent on the chalkboard 500 times.
You have to stay after class 2 minutes.
Do I get a sternly worded letter?
Yes.
No, that's after your third demerit.
No, you get a Warren talking to. Elizabeth Warren is going to give you
a finger wag, a finger wag.
Yes.
And then if you do it again, then you get, I don't know, 10 finger wags more.
then you have to like say after. No, you have Saturday in school with Nancy Pelosi.
But if you keep it up,
Necrosis.
Elizabeth Warren will eventually write legislation that hands you billions of dollars.
I mean, all right.
So how do you guys go about talking in systems more to people? Like, are you saying that you're going to keep personalities out of conversations more going forward, or what do you guys mean by
I can speak for myself. Jesse and I on Facts on the Ground, we try really hard in every single episode to make those connections. Whether we're talking about how missing and murdered Indigenous women ties back to capitalism and imperialism and that colonial mindset, or whether we're talking about, Israel, Palestine, or whatever, we try to make connections and show how everything influences everything else. But there is, it's a tangled web, and you cannot pretend like each issue exists in a vacuum. That's just not the case. And if you even with Julian Assange, there are kind of satellite issues floating around that you also have to kind of dive into, and you have to kind of make sure that you're pulling in from those other places to make it all kind of cohesive and make sense, because it's not just like this one little issue. There's a lot of things going on around. Do you know what I mean? Like, does that make sense?
So we've got 7 minutes left, and there's a lot of us here. So I'm gonna go ahead and suggest we start the closeout.
Yeah.
I will answer you too when we wrap here. So I'm gonna start passing this thing around, and just thanks everyone for hanging out. Really,
Yeah.
you guys are fucking awesome. Yeah. So I will start this way.
I'm Christine. Thanks. This is cool being here with everyone finally. And if you want, you can follow me on Twitter at _ChrisXteen.
Hey, Fee, come back over here. We're saying our those were the days. We're saying our combo out. So tell people.
No, that was Archie Bunker.
Her hair's there.
Oh boy.
Men were men and boys were boys. Fam, just say goodbye to the audience over there.
Bye, fams.
Yeah, the combo couch here in DC, hanging with Action for Assange crew. Frank Analysis, Christine, and I dropped my phone. And we're gonna be at the Force the Vote crap tomorrow. Definitely gonna be out there, going out there nuts. Love it. Action for Assange, gonna join Assange, and then Stop the Steal, all that stuff. And yeah, love you guys.
We do it across the board, whatever it is, no matter what, no matter if we like them or not, we're gonna do it.
No matter if they like us, we're still gonna do it too as well. Thanks for having us on. Love you guys.
Even if you can't make it to DC, just keep sharing these videos, keep sharing them, share them to your families, talk about it to people around you in person as well, because this is a significant event of what's going on here. Like the Force to Vote, Assange, all these people coming together, all these voices coming together. At least we have that. At least we're united in recognizing what's actually happening. So subscribe to everyone here. Everyone here, get on Rockfin because, man, like how everybody's been saying, there's going to be mass censorship happening, and the most important voices are going to be taken off that platform.
I just want to thank everybody for hanging out with us. Everybody in the chat for making this possible and getting us here to do this. I'm Andrew Smith. You can follow me on Twitter at Andrew Zigman. You can follow us on Twitter at action_4Assange. I did just put a post up on our website with the events for tomorrow and Monday. I just look forward to seeing everybody there. And thank you to everyone that made this possible.
And I'm Misty Wilson. You can find me on Twitter at Sarcasm Stardust. I also have another show with Jesse Zerwell called Facts on the Ground. You can find that on YouTube. I just want to thank everybody for watching. Thank you to everybody who donated to the GoFundMe to make it possible. I look forward to seeing all of you fools in about 6-7 hours. I got to throw some shit together, jump in my car, and head that way. And I hope to see lots of you in DC. So if you're anywhere near, or if you can get there. The more bodies, the better. Now's the time. I mean, this is kind of a good historic moment where we can all come together and push for things that, actually matter. So if you can get there, get there. And yeah, that's it, I think.
Hey, Misty. Oh,
yeah.
wait.
I-O.
My name's Steve Boykin, and I have a show called Slow News Day. You should be watching that on Rockbin because that's where I'll be when YouTube yanks our channel. You should join us tomorrow. We're going to be live at the Action. Hopefully it's not raining so bad that you can't hear people talk. We're going to have an easy up out. There's going to be a number of people that are speaking. It's going to be a fantastic event. That is at noon at the British Embassy, Monday morning at dumb o'clock in the morning, because it'll be 5 a.m. when the decision gets read here. It'll be midnight when the British get woke. Andrews.
I got the permit.
That's fantastic, Bubba. Fantastic.
City, so you're
We're trying to close.
You got a minute. I have a fucking meeting, dude. You got a minute. Literally a minute.
Damn, Gina. Damn.
Nah, I was talking to Andrew.
I love you guys. Thank you thank you for getting us here. We're gonna raise some fucking hell while we're here. Thank you to the combo crew and Franco and Christine, and we will see you all tomorrow. Good luck to us all.
Later, everyone.